elections in the U.S., and people in America will just watch the action on the political futures markets. They don't give a care who is actually running for any office at any given time, and if anyone gets shot in the head, well, someone's going to make a lot of money, and they're the winner for that day. It's like Running Man on steroids on an electronic futures contract brought to you by the same CFTC, run by the same Goldman Sachs scum who's been responsible for all the fraud up until now. It's ridiculous. How can the CFTC and the CME can't even manage any of the markets that they're currently involved in? Why are they adding yet another esoteric market that puts American democracy in the crosshairs? Ask Sarah Palin. How many politicians' crosshairs does she have to put on their head to get shot in the head before she's satisfied? Well, what is going on over there? Is it a turkey shoot for a few like the Koch brothers to make a few extra bucks on top of their billions? This is appalling.
Well, speaking of a Running Man on steroids, let's bring machines and technology into the mix and talk about market manipulation, because we have your virtual specialist technology used to make markets, and you've said that this has fallen into enemy hands. Now you also have high-frequency trading, which siphons off existing money from existing exchanges. So I'm just wondering how these technologies could be used to exploit democracy and manipulate expectations about the president, because after all, this is supposed to be a predictive market.
Right. Well, it's price propaganda. Price creates a perception, and people act on that price. And you see it happening in these other markets. The price discovery, as we know it, is gone. There's no supply and demand meeting on the floor of the exchange, and there's a price resulting from a specialist function. My virtual specialist technology that I have a U.S. patent on was meant to solve these problems, to create a better specialist system, but it got taken over by Cantor Fitzgerald. They, in turn, used it as the basis for Cantor Exchange, and they were going to launch box office futures until the MPAA heard about these death threats to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and within a few days, they got Congress to outlaw that product. How fast does Congress ever act to outlaw anything? They got them to act in 2 weeks, because they consider their staff, their stars, as essential to that industry. They got protection. But in Washington, in democracy and in politics in America, who the president is, who the vice president is, that's just collateral news. Who cares? We just want to know what their price is. And if we can manipulate the price, then better for us. There's no markets out there that are not being manipulated by these market makers with the infinite credit, zero cost of funds, and control of the technology. 70 to 80% of all the volume on the New York Stock Exchange is automated control, algorithmic trading, high-frequency trading. These are not people making buying and sell decisions based on by some analysis that they figured out in terms of a long-term value. It's all being rigged. It's all game rigging, automated game rigging. Now we're going to see the same thing to the political process, and the results are America is basically committing suicide. And it'll be a spectacular show. Don't get me wrong. This will be fantastic to watch, but I'm afraid it won't do any good to the long-term viable sustainability of the United States as we know it.
Ahead of suicide, do you think before that we may see a flash crash in democracy with all this high-frequency trading?
Absolutely. Now you understand. Of course. You've got people who are looking at their political candidates as meat, as a pork belly. And they're thinking, well, Obama's Air Force One could blow up at any second. I'll make a bunch of money. Here they outlawed these products for the terror futures because John Poindexter at the Pentagon ripped off my idea, the Hollywood Stock Exchange, to create terror futures markets. But instead, they've made all of the Americans themselves terrorists, because now every single American can bet on a political catastrophe from the convenience of their laptop. So now you've got 320 million terrorists. It's between Canada and Mexico. It's the United Terrorist State of America trading on this new exchange, hoping for politicians to blow up in the sky. What a frickin' country.
What a frickin' country. There's nothing else we can say after that, but actually Max Keiser had a lot more to say. And as he was talking about politicians being a piece of meat, don't you want to know who in his mind is the axis of weasels, not the axis of evil? In this terrorist plot he's talking about, there is the axis of weasels. We talked about that. He also made a bold prediction about what will happen with this prediction market specifically. We talked about all of this. We are going to put it up as a web exclusive on our website, youtube.com/capitalaccount on Tuesday. So you have something to look forward to. If you're celebrating Christmas, after you do so, you can get back into the groove next week on Tuesday with our web exclusive. Okay, speaking of prediction markets, we've talked a lot about them. What about predictions for the 2012 economy? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, economists are predicting sluggish 2% growth, with the economy weighed down by housing woes, by the Eurozone crisis, by joblessness. All not so good news. But I want to bring in our producer, Dimitri Kofinas, and Shannon Donahoe in the control room, because this would not be possible to really break down properly without you guys involved in this story. Because despite all of this bad news, which we're looking towards, it doesn't stop hordes of people from lining up for the coolest, hottest shoe, according to them. I had no idea what this shoe is. I didn't even know that Jordans still existed. But apparently they're the it shoe, and people lined up for a $175 one. Here's one reason why.
They're like one of the most rare shoes that's come out lately. Like that, this is the shoe that everyone wants. Like this one shoe, if you have these in your closet, you're the man. Like that's it.
That's it. So with everybody so broke and jobless, where are folks getting the money to line up for these $200 shoes?
Well, some of these guys, remember, I mean, not all, I mean, some of them are obviously, they have way too much time on their hands. Some of these guys are like street arbitrageurs, right? Because they're...
I don't even, what is that?
Arbitrage. You know, they're making money off the spread. They're going to go
fancy,
and buy, absolutely. They're like little hedge fund managers. They go online, they buy the shoes for $175, and they can sell them for a $300 spread. They could sell them, you know, for $475.
Oh, so you think this is a business deal?
I think for some of these guys it clearly is, right? They buy them, sell them on
I don't. Shannon, you probably watched the news reports with all of the people lining up. There were police there because people were trying to surge into the stores, trying to hide in the stores. I don't think it's about a business opportunity here.
I'm sure that it was a business opportunity for some people, but for the vast majority, I mean, I think that they got in those lines because certain stores only had like 19 pairs. So once you're out, you're out.
Well, for the 1%, it was a street arbitrage opportunity, but for the 99%...
I don't think there were a lot of the 1% out at midnight in these suburban malls.
No, I mean, within
footage.
this subsection, there's the 1% street arbitrageur.
Okay.
Who is going to go there and make that spread.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but we told you that 2012 isn't looking so hot. But if you're one of those people that think it's actually going to be the end of the world on December 21st of 2012, which is the end of the Mayan calendar, guess what? You're not alone, because people are cashing in. Evidently, Mexico is expecting to see tourism surge by 30 million people compared to a typical year. They're expecting to see 52 million visitors.
I heard Mexico was actually selling credit default swaps against itself in anticipation of this event. They're kind of blowing the cash ahead of the Mayan countdown.
Well, we'll have to wait to see how that trade pans out. December 21st of next year. This is the last we're going to see of you this year live. Monday, Capital Account is taking a break. Tuesday, for the rest of the week, we have great shows put together for you with the best of what you've seen here, as well as viewer feedback every day. But for now, that's all we have time for. Happy holidays from everyone here at Capital Account. Thanks for watching and have a great night.